Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin with the Modern Observer Group. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How about you, Eric?
I'm doing fantastic. Though here in the Northeast, like most of the country, we are dealing with yet another heat wave. So
Yeah,
we've got hot and hazy all over the place.
yeah, absolutely. I guess this is our second or third one of the year. I went out and cut the grass this morning and lost 2 belt sizes. No, I'm just kidding. But uh, hey, I still like summer better than winter, although for all you skiers out there, winter's great too. So,
Yeah,
but
the one thing I like about the heat is you don't have to shovel it.
this is true. You just kind of sweat it out.
Yes.
But anyway, our guest today is a friend of mine that I met through the local Chamber of Commerce several months ago, and actually, she actually took some pictures of me, which is one of her fortes is photography, and she does a whole lot of other things as far as social media and things like that. And one of the things that she loves is summer. Her favorite place is Brewster, Cape Cod, and so Allie is young, but a woman of many talents. So, Allie, welcome and introduce yourself and tell us about who you are, what you do, what you like. It's all yours.
Thanks, Chip. Sure. So, like Chip said, my name's Allie Bellucci, and I run a business in West Hartford. It's called Bellu Jean Creative, and it's a social media marketing company and graphic design for logos and pamphlets, websites. And then I help people really get their social media on track as far as the look and feel they want, the professionalism of their photos and videos, just to make sure that they are sending their message out there the way they want to be seen. And it's a really rewarding experience being able to work with so many business owners. But I'm actually from West Hartford. I went to Norfell Elementary School, Bristow Middle School, and Hall High School. And at Hall, that's where I really started my love of graphic design. I took graphic design all 4 years. I had really great teachers that helped me improved so much. By the end, I was designing flyers and pamphlets and brochures for the school and T-shirts. And I also had a photography business in my backyard at the time, taking people's holiday card photos. And after I graduated from Hall in 2013, I went to University of New Hampshire and got a degree in journalism, which is really similar to what I do now because it's really all about telling people's stories in a clear, concise, and unique way to who they are. I loved University of New Hampshire. I was the editor of the school newspaper, so that really gave me a look into what it's like to run a business because it was all student led. And after I graduated, I moved to New York City and opened the same business as I have now, pretty much. It was called a Wildflower Project. And I only worked with restaurants, but during COVID, unfortunately, I had to shut that down. Luckily, I was teaching at the time. So I ended up getting my master's in teaching while we were all home. And once I graduated last May, I thought, you know what, I'm living back in West Hartford again. I have the opportunity with this great community, these supportive connections to reopen my business. So I did in October. It's almost been a year of reopening, and it's been an amazing experience, mostly because of the people I've met through networking, through the West Hartford Chamber. They've really brought a lot of value and confidence to my business and my skills, and I'm super grateful for being a part of that community now.
Fantastic. So you've been dealing in one form or another with communications for quite a while, going all the way back to high school. When you deal with businesses now, what is the big problem that most businesses have with communicating their message?
I think honestly, the lack of being able to really capture who they are, we process visuals at lightning speed. So, and it really, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So it's not as easy as you think to just get a photo that clearly shows who you are, your personality, your brand, who you really want to be. So first of all, being able to decode that, because sometimes business owners don't even know what that they want. They have 5 or 6 different visions, and that's why it's not really coming through. So I love to really narrow that down with them and find creative and different ways to showcase. People always say, "Oh, what's your style?" And I'm like, my style is for my business. Let's figure out your style. My style does not matter. You know, my style is whatever you want to be. And I think one of the biggest challenges is that when I go into a project, people don't know what they want to look like or who they want to be 100% because they haven't had someone to guide them through. Even though that's the most challenging part, it's also one of my favorite parts because people get so excited once they see, oh yeah, this is who I want to be.
So tell us a little bit about your process for helping people figure out who they want to be and what image they want to put forward.
Yeah, so I do a lot of it with um, inspiration from other businesses, kind of going through and making mood boards. I have people help me collect inspiration, and then I think a reason why I feel like I'm in the right career is because I'm able to look at these images and be like, these go together, but these are two different things. So which one do you want to choose? Which one do you want to be more you? And it's pretty much all through visuals with colors, fonts, obviously inspiration from other people, other designers, everything. Even if we're making an original look for you, it doesn't mean that we can't grab inspiration from other people that they want to also embody. So I think visuals is like the number one thing that I bring to the table and then can really show them the difference between.
Nice.
Yeah, I like your website is very succinct as far as the different things that you do. And you talk about for businesses, I offer a variety of services and packages and so on and so forth. But I think that the one word that kind of characterizes what you do is direction. Because no matter what you're doing business-wise, when you're looking to serve people, you start with an assessment to assess the situation. And obviously, you're in a field that's got so much really, really cool stuff. And that's the first thing that people really, really need is an outside look at what they're doing and the direction that you do. And obviously, I've seen a lot of your work and heard a lot of the testimonials for you at the chamber and so on and so forth. And that's a huge part of it. So talk a little bit about your process, about the first time that you meet people, and then take us through to working with them and results.
Yeah, I mean, I also just want to mention how, running a business like this and taking the leap to even say, like, this is what I do and this is who I am has been one of my biggest challenges. That feeling of imposter syndrome. You look at someone to your right who's been doing it so much longer than you, someone to your left who, has years of experience in a field that you're trying to get into while also convincing people, hey, I can do this too. I think being able to put aside not even really like the failure of my first business because of COVID, but also it did feel like that because I had to shut down. So building that confidence up has been, I think, part of my process of, introducing myself to people and trying to stay confident. But I don't really even have a process. I just really try to be myself and um, get people to like who I am first, because I think when you work with someone in a creative field, you have to be able to trust them and feel comfortable and with saying that I actually don't like that, which is fine. You know how many people have said I've designed something for and they're like, that's not quite right. You can't get upset because that's okay. We're all figuring it out. So I think overall, just really trying to stay true to who I am and what my personality is my process, really.
Yeah, well, you also, again, you're very much into athletics and so on and so forth. And yes, when you came in, you were very, very new. But what you have done is you just dove in, which is obviously part of a swimming type of thing, or with the
You
Nike
have
logo,
to.
just do it.
You
But
you have to. I
yep,
mean,
yeah,
yeah, you can't let your own self get in the way. And that's so much easier said than done.
Yep.
I still get in the way of myself, but
Yep.
um,
Right.
having the community around you who supports you and you do work for, and then they just speak your praises is like the best um, medicine for that, I
Yeah,
guess.
and that's what you did. I mean, you hit the ground running. I mean, obviously, networking is all about developing relationships, and you know what
Right.
that's about. And you made sure that you were seeing people, talking with people a whole lot. So things happened for you the way that I saw it rather quickly. And it's because of your go get 'em attitude, just diving in and getting it done. And as far as the lack of confidence and so on and so forth goes, I mean, obviously that's something that we all fight. And I always tell people when I'm running networking meetings, sometimes people stand up and say they're nervous or this or that or whatever. And I
Of
always say, you're the only person that knows that until you tell us. And you
course.
don't portray that whatsoever. So
Really most grateful to the people who hired me to do projects without really even being able to see what I could do, just being like, I like you and I believe in that you can do that. Um, Erica Smith Rappaport has been like a huge person in that for me. She's like a big person in the chamber. I don't know if you've talked to her before on this podcast, but um, I didn't have anything to show but my own website. And she was like, no, make mine. And I was like, okay, thanks so much. But now I have hers to show. And that gave me a lot of confidence because she loved it so much. And my experience working with her was so positive. So, just being really, I think also just, taking a step back and being grateful for the people who believe in you because of the person you are is huge also. You should be able to believe in yourself if other people believe in you.
Sure. So Chip mentioned your background in athletics. Tell us a little bit about what you've done in athletics and what did that teach you that you're putting into practice now?
Yeah. Well, I have like I was a three-sport athlete, so I did dance, lacrosse, and basketball. And then I also did swimming. And I ended up focusing mostly in dance, and I ended up majoring in dance in college. And dance is a sport that you're never perfect. Like it doesn't matter how long you're training, the most, you know, prima ballerina in the world is still not perfect. And I think, still wanting to work towards being the best you can be was something I learned through dance. But also, I grew up with my dad as a football coach at Hartford High, and my uncle as a football coach in the NFL. And, you know, watching them have these huge wins and huge losses, especially with my uncle in the NFL, where everyone's watching and everyone's critiquing, and there's news articles and people on the TV, either saying you're amazing or you're horrible. Um, and just watching how he responded to that, I think taught me that like in lesser words, you can't let the haters bring you down. So the same within sports, sometimes you're the best one on the team. And there's a lot of times, like in lacrosse, I was never the best one on the team. I was on a team with some extremely talented athletes who I think probably like 3 or 4 went D3, 2 went D1. Like I was not the top athlete, but that didn't stop me from doing my best and getting better and wanting to contribute to the team the best that I could. So I think just keep having that mindset throughout my whole life, especially I definitely started in sports, has been a huge help.
So you said your uncle was a football coach in the NFL. Your father was a coach for high school. What did they teach you about dealing with Monday morning quarterbacks, as they call them in football?
Um, I think actually my favorite quote came from them. It was a quote that they both said to their teams. I'm not sure who originally said it, but I think it's, I don't know, it just has shaped my life a lot. It's don't sacrifice what you want most for what you want now. So just keeping that mindset of, what, always keeping in mind what your end main biggest goal is, and not letting the little things, the little daily things get in the way. You
That
know, because you
that's
have a bad day at school doesn't mean you need to have a bad day at practice because you want to be a better player.
that's a great quote, and it really is so important. You know, when we coach our clients, we always talk about keeping the end in mind. And the
Yeah.
fact of the matter is, people have an image of, well, this is my goal. I'm going to get there. It's going to be a straight line. But when you actually do it, it's never a straight line. It twists, it turns, it curves, it's two steps back before you can move forward. Being able to deal with that is so important.
Yeah, even like going to the chamber meetings, the AM connections is the best thing that has ever happened to my business. Let me tell you, it is very early in the morning. So that's like an example of that. Don't sacrifice what you want most for what you want now. What I want most is a successful business. By never giving people what I want right now is to sleep in on a
Right.
Friday. But no, like, got to get up. You have to, get out there and meet people. There's times when there's networking events at the same time that my friends are going and doing a bunch of things. And it's like, okay, but I could do that. I don't have anyone telling me I have to do a networking event or I have to do anything. No one tells me anything that I have to do, really. But, keeping in mind what the end goal is and not sacrificing anything for that is a challenge I think a lot of business owners who are their own boss face. It's an awesome lifestyle to be your own boss. It is a equally very challenging lifestyle to be your own boss too.
Yes, it is. You have
A
to
lot of
hold,
discipline.
yes, you have to hold yourself accountable.
You do.
I remember, I think I've told this story on the podcast before. When I was first opening my business, I went to open the business bank account. And
Yeah.
they had all these questions they had to ask. And one of the questions was, well, what hours are you going to work? And I started laughing. And the woman at the bank just said, yeah, I know, my father owned his own business. It's 24/7. It's
I mean, yeah. But also at the same time, I try to, because so I was a teacher before for 4 years, and the burnout was so real. And the one
yep.
thing, you still have to go every day. Like, you can be burned out, but that doesn't stop you from going and doing the job. Where when you're a business owner and you feel burned out, you literally don't have to do it. So what I try to do is every week and then every day I shift my Google Calendar around with my own tasks. And if I have a day where I think my tasks are going to go to 5 o'clock and I finish at 3, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not gonna start tomorrow's tasks because now I got that done. Like, I have a schedule. I don't need to do that because I'm ready for tomorrow, and yay for me. But sometimes, it hits 6 o'clock, 6:30, and I didn't finish what I wanted to for the day. And I'm like, should I work a few more hours or should I shift the rest of my week and just tell people, sorry, this is taking longer than I thought. This is the new date you can expect. And I think being able to be almost politely confrontational, if it's even confrontational, is really important, because if I got everything I thought I was going to get done in a week done, I would never have time for myself. And I just think it's so important to make sure that you're still living your life.
It
Um,
is very important. In fact,
yeah.
that's something that most business owners tend to let slide. It's
Totally.
like
And I've seen
you need to remember about self-care, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to serve your clients. You're not going to be able to help anyone else if
it. Right.
you're burnt out.
Yeah, not to mention you're going to get stuck in what you both have heard me say a lot of times, the land of sameville, which is just letting the
Yep.
outside world, which is your job and money or whatever, no matter how rich or how unrich you are, just control your life, and you're just floating around there. You have to have your purpose and your passion and so on. And Eric and I talk a whole lot about time management And Eric has his planner that actually can put this in, but it's so important in your time management tool to have every facet of your life in there, not just the work. You got to be looking forward to that next vacation, which I know you always are, Allie, and other things that are going on in your life, and just have a balanced thing so that it's worth it for all of you. Obviously, it's a great accomplishment. It makes you feel great when other people are saying, wow, this work is fantastic, and so on and so forth. But when you're reaping the fruits of your labor and out there on your next soiree, wherever you're going, where you can take a deep breath and say, wow, this is great, and I'm going to go back twice as refreshed when I get home. That's such a key. And that's the routine that all of you individual business owners out there need to get into, is that you got to put all those different pieces together. And what you do work-wise, obviously it's going to psych you up and make you feel good. But what you make from that is just going to facilitate every other aspect of your life too when you're successful. And you got to make sure that those other aspects are great.
Totally.
Yeah, it's so important. Mindset is a major factor in success. And
Yeah.
you have to take time to decompress. If you're constantly under the gun, if you're constantly under stress, that's going to burn you out. You mentioned as a teacher, you saw burnout.
Mhm.
What are some of the things you do to help avoid burnout?
Definitely setting my schedule. And then also, if I don't meet the deadlines I thought I was going to meet, not being too hard on myself and just being like, oh, that took longer than I thought. Let me shift this around a little bit. Usually the people I choose to work with are great people. So, they're not going to get mad. Oh, I said this week it's going to be Monday instead. I'm just trying to perfect. I don't want to rush. I'm not going to rush through your project just to get it done this day, because if I'm tired or I'm burnt out, it's not going to be my best work. So, what's the point? I try to, literally not work on Saturdays, hang out with my friends, my family, have a day where I don't think about it. I think that's super important, because at first, actually, I would work Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday would come and I'd be like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't want to do this. When it's like, okay, how about don't do it on the day that everyone else doesn't, and
Right.
live your life a little bit. And then I think just having balance is so important in everything in life, um, with your social life, with your work, with your diet. Like, everything is about balance. So just, you know, nothing's that serious. You have to,
So
prioritize your
yes, you
happiness.
do.
Like, yeah, it's a very Chip thing.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is, "Don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody else does." That's
Right,
how that quote finishes. That's
right.
so. I mean, you both know I have my daily morning video and so on and so on. And that's one of the slides. Don't take yourself so seriously. Nobody else does. What other people think about you is none of your business.
Right. And you can still be passionate and prompt, and realistic. I think if you are someone who's upfront and genuine, people understand, especially other business owners understand, sometimes timelines don't go exactly as planned, but I think strong communication and honesty go such a long way.
It
And I
does.
don't know, most of the time I'm pretty on good ahead of the deadlines, if people have them. But sometimes I'm like, oh, this is a little bit new. Or I was doing a logo for this girl, and I was like, I know you want me to send it to you today, but I'm actually, have a Zoom with a really advanced, great graphic designer, and I'd rather go over your logo with him before I show it to you. Do you mind if I send it tomorrow? And being honest, like, I want to make this perfect for you. So here's an opportunity I have to make, our project better. And it's going to be tomorrow. I hope that's all right. And, I think usually if you, if you are polite and kind, people are the same way back to you.
I think it's more than just polite and kind. That transparency is so important. You know, you can't be telling someone, oh, yes, absolutely, you'll have it on this date, and then just not have it on that date and not say anything to them. So the
Yeah.
fact that you're upfront with them and you're transparent about why things, are late, if they are, that's very important.
Yeah, it really is. And I think also as a teacher, I learned how to do that because, you know, someone's logo or someone's photo shoot is small potatoes compared to someone's child. And
Yes.
have to, like, you have no choice but to be upfront, transparent, matter of fact. And a lot of conversations in education are really hard because I worked in special ed. No one wants to hear there's something wrong, you know? But
Right.
if you're not honest, then you're doing a total disservice to the child because their parent doesn't know what's wrong or what's going on. Um, and I think, that being practicing that in education and being able to have those conversations that are kind of hard and feel confrontational, and becoming really comfortable with that has really changed how I run business, but has also really positively affected the way I can communicate in my personal relationships too, because I feel like I can just articulate myself so much better. And I think as you grow, that's a huge skill you learn because it's really hard to tell people straightforward how it is. I had a principal who was really good at that, and it was so jarring at first because you're like, whoa, did I do something wrong? Like, no, you didn't. This is just what you need to improve on. This is just how it is. This is what this kid needs. It's not personal, but it's important to be able to not beat around the bush.
Absolutely. We are coming up on the end of our time. So if anybody would like to get a hold of you, and your business, how can they do so?
Sure. So they can get a hold of me through email or Instagram. My business is spelled Bellu, like my last name, Jean, Jean, Creative. And my email is bellucci.allison@gmail.com. They can inquire through my website, through Instagram, through Facebook, uh, you know, through email, however they want to. I will respond and be excited to talk to them.
And of course, your website is Blue Jean, Bellu Jean Creative.com. So,
Yes.
Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for our listeners this week?
I have nothing to say. No, I'm just kidding. Bet you weren't expecting that one. Allie, it's just a pleasure to have met you, to have known you for this past however long it's been. And you have so many things going for you, but you are in the business of creativity. And creativity means developing relationships with the people, walking them through the process, and so on and so forth, having them understand that creativity is not a switch. Obviously, I know that because I'm not really creative. And it's just so important. But I mean, the way that you approach things, what you've been through in your past that have led you to now has just been an amazing journey for someone so young. And all I can say is congratulations and keep it up. And obviously, you're going to be changing a whole lot of lives with the different things that you're doing out there. And just there's a whole lot of successes out there resulting
Definitely.
from what you've done to help people out already. And look out, world, because it's going to keep on going and going and going.
Thank you, Chip.
All right. I think for me, the big takeaway is just how important communications is. It's not just about talking. It's about knowing exactly what message you want to get across and how you get it across, whether it's visually, through social media, talking, and how important transparency is for that communication. The more transparent you can be, the better, because people respond to authenticity.
Totally. I think that's a great takeaway. I think that being original is so much easier than people think it is.
Yes, it is.
I want to help people find what original means to them.
Fantastic. Thanks
Don't have
so
to
much for
follow a
coming
trend.
on. Thanks so much for coming on the show. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch every episode at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. We'll see you then.